Hello, everyone, and welcome to Cincinnati, Ohio. We are here at the Flock for another FCS challenge. It's Ginga FS hosting Lansing City. Ginga plays their third game in as many weeks, and this time, Jake, they host Lansing City. I'm Jared Kleppo alongside Jake George. First, let's take a look at the Ginga team. Let's just talk a little bit about them. They have the most experience coming in today's game as far as games played this season. They've played 2 games, 1 win, 1 loss. Their first game, a win, 8-3 over Detroit Imperial. An 8-3 loss against Detroit Imperial. And then the second game was that 13-0 just dismantling of Midwest at home last week. Coach Satoru Matsushima, he said that he really enjoyed the atmosphere of the home game with the fans there. 13-0. That's so many goals. The most goals we've seen in a game this far in the season. Although we've only had 2 games, but we'll have to see if that stands as we go along in the season. But as we talked to Coach Satoru Matsushima of Ginga, we kind of asked him what his thoughts were on this matchup. One of the things he pointed out, Jake, was Lansing City's tendency to do a lot of 1v1 and 2v2. And let's just talk a little bit about the Lansing City team for now, coached by Conrad Gonzalez. This team, Jake, has a very interesting dynamic of experience. You have young players that have a lot of futsal experience, and then you have some older guys who maybe don't have, their first instincts aren't futsal, but they have more high-level game experience. Tell us a little bit about what you heard from Coach Conrad Gonzalez about that. It's very interesting. When we talked with Coach Conrad Gonzalez, we heard that this is kind of they talked about the building of the Lansing City team over the years and how every player has been an important piece of that. But this year, the Lansing City squad looks like the most futsal team than ever before.
Yeah, and it's going to make the game much more beautiful as well. And I think that that's something that's important to Conrad and to Jeremy is that we want the fans to fall in love with this game as much as us. We want them to watch it and say, and this is a direct quote from Conrad, I want to watch this again, and I want to bring my friends. And that's what's going to grow this up and make this extra special and fill the stands in places like the Flock, like Lansing Arena, and all these beautiful places in the Midwest. to watch some really killer futsal.
And that's what we have on the docket tonight, a very exciting game between Ginga and Lansing City, of course, opening up for the first time. And I do just have to mention very quickly, I can't call a game by Lansing City and not just express my own affinity towards them as a club. I used to play for Lansing City back when they were in the MLF. I actually have called USL games for the Lansing City football team in the outdoor. So you're going to see some of that come through. I do have a strong connection there. And if you didn't catch on to this, Jeremy Kleppel is my brother too. So there is that, and I just have to recognize it that I do have a strong connection with this team. Obviously, as a commentator, I'm going to be presenting things, in an unbiased way. But at the same time, my heart still roots for Lansing City whenever they're out on the court. Taking a look at what's to come in the FCS, tonight we actually have two more games coming up at 8 p.m. later on tonight. We have the Battle of the East. It's going to be Midwest hosting Detroit Imperial. And then we have the Battle of the West out in Grand Rapids. It's going to be Midwest United hosting Grand Rapids Olay. Those two matches are going to be actually broadcast here on FCS Live, both of them at 8 p.m. Really, their coverage is going to start immediately after this game, but be sure to stick around after this match to watch those games. We have a couple of very interesting rivalries that could be developing in the league, Jake.
Yeah, most definitely. You got on one side of things, Jared, you've got the Detroit battle, and it's a lot of familiarity from a club birthing from another club. It's our own little local version of AFC Wimbledon and MK Dons. But, there's certainly a respect for both those teams amongst themselves, but also bragging rights is always there and always part of the picture. Nobody wants to be on the losing side of a crosstown rivalry. And then on the other side of things, the battle for Grand Rapids. I mean, what a way to start both teams' campaigns, but to play in town. And both clubs, Midwest United and Grand Rapids Olay, known for their fans and their turnout. There is a great culture for futsal in Grand Rapids. It is an absolute hot. So I would imagine the crowd is going to be pretty loud during that one.
Fiddle with the scoreboard to make sure it's working correctly just before kickoff here. Do want to mention that we also will have more FCS action next week. Actually, 3 games, one on each of the 29th, 30th, and the 1st. That's Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Black Friday, the Saturday after that, and Sunday the 1st. Midwest is in all 3 of those games, so we'll talk a little bit more about that later on. But let's move our attention to the starting lineups for tonight. First for Ginga, we have Jorge Guinevart, number 5. In goal is going to be Corey Wissenhunt. Nacho Torres back in the lineup. Good to see him back from injury. Riley McKenzie, and rounding out is Eddie Jimenez. Now on the Lansing City side, you might notice that their roster is a little bit more thin. They probably have about 4 or 5 less guys making this trip to Cincinnati. In goal, Ethan Castaneda, one of the young players of Lansing City there. We have Josh Robinson, a newcomer for Lansing City, and then a couple of youth guys. That's going to be Drew Barney, Jonah Timblow, and then, of course, number 81, it's Jeremy Kleppel. Drew Barney, definitely one of the players to watch for Lansing City. He has been one of the prime Lansing City Academy players, as we do have kickoff here. So keep your eye out for him. That's number 10. He has a lot of futsal knowledge and futsal skill. One of the first, players in the Lansing City Academy to really have his instincts be the game of futsal. As Kleppel and Barney have it in the back here, they're looking for an opportunity going forward. Just 20 seconds into the match here. Ginga, you could say it's a high press, but it's, Lansing City has the ball further up the court, and it is going to trickle back to Ethan Castaneda.
Seen some guys that impressed for Ginga in game 1 as well. Nacho Torres returning to the lineup. He's in the starting lineup tonight, and he made a huge impact with the physicality that opening match against Detroit Imperial to start our season. So expect him to really mix it up and be a big part of this high press that you're seeing from Ginga.
One of the things, Jake, I'm very curious to see tonight, this is the first home match that Ginga's going to face that's not against, Midwest, which they beat 13-0 last week. So really kind of their first true home test to see what it's like playing against Lansing City tonight.
Most definitely, Jared. And these guys saw each other a couple times in the preseason, but everybody knows preseason's not the same as the regular season. It's different looks, different groups of people testing things out. This is, both teams truly honed lineups. These should be the best of the best that came out of those preseason matches. So I would expect that these guys both know that, especially from our conversations during the week with both clubs. and they know that the intensity is going to be higher than what they saw, say, in July.
Lansing City with the first corner here. It's going to be Jeremy Kleppel with a left-footed strike. That's his second shot of the game. I think you're going to see a lot of that tonight. And goalkeeper Corey Wisenhunt forced to make his first save of the game. Another corner. Kleppel gets by the first. The sliding tackle saves his left-footed strike. And now Ginga looking for a counterattack, but that's going to come to naught as the ball was much too far. That was for Eddie Jimenez on that far side.
Right away, seeing some pressure from Lansing. It looks like I'm seeing a little bit of the Ginga from game one. You know, they're high pressing, but not getting that foot in. They're high up the court, but they're not really pressing once they get there. They don't want to make that same mistake like they did against the Detroit Imperial, because they will get penalized for that with a couple quick passes, especially with the likes of Drew Barney in this lineup and his vision and his expertise with having some national team coaches playing with him, coaching with him. He's going to want to – they're really going to have to keep an eye on that.
Now here's goalkeeper Wisenhunt bringing the ball up past half, looking for a player. It's Dima Sherabina, the four-time goal scorer last week against Midwest for Ginga. It's Castaneda's ball up to Jonah Timblow is going to find its way out of bounds, and it will be a Ginga kick. Lansing City putting some light pressure on Ginga. That ball into the middle, defended well by Josh Robinson. Josh Robinson, number 6 for Lansing City, one of the players that Lansing City picked up in the offseason. Has a lot of high-level soccer experience and has proven to be, well, we haven't seen in season, but in some of the preseason games, he's proven to be a nice asset for them, and he's starting here tonight for Lansing City. Now here's Drew Barney looking into Robinson. That one is going to be denied by the Ginga defense. Now the high pressure there from Jeremy Kleppel forces that one out of bounds. And that's something that you're probably going to see a lot of from Lansing City is when they lose the ball, they are very quick to pressure and try to win it back. They really want to make the opposing team feel uncomfortable and like they have no time to make a pass or to make a play.
I think one of the things we learned from the last two games in general is that when you let teams set up and play their own game, you kind of lose control. And that sounds like a really super simple statement, but it's the truth, and that's what's going on. And so I think Lansing's doing a great job of making sure these guys don't get set with Ginga to control the pace of the game. Always trying to demand control of the game is going to be super important, especially with two high-class clubs like this.
And a great save there from Ethan Castaneda, sliding out to force the ball to go over the end line. There was a little bit of confusion there. Lansing City expecting a corner kick, and I think a well-deserved corner kick, but instead a keeper restart was given. So Ginga had the opportunity to try to put the ball forward when Lansing City was in a position of attacking. You might have seen there Jeremy Kleppel not very happy with the officiating in that case, but Lansing City does recover, and now they do have the ball in the attacking half. Jeremy Kleppel in that one-on-one where he's so dangerous, and that lightning of a strike is turned aside by Corey Wisenhunt, his second save of the game.
Really showcasing that lethal shot. I know we haven't seen a goal go on the board just yet, but you can tell by the pace, this is not poor camera work, guys. That's literally the speed of the ball coming off of Jeremy's foot. It is lightning quick.
You know, I've had a time or two being between the pipes when he takes a crack in some training sessions, and he's just not the player that you want to take this shot against you. But you're always bracing and you're ready to make that save. Certainly one of the players that makes it, if you're a goalie, a player like Jeremy Kleppel is proof that you have to be a little crazy to put yourself between the pipes.
Absolutely. I mean, you think about what these guys go through normally in the pace of the ball, and then you see that from Jeremy, and it's like, holy cow, that's a whole nother level.
He's done his fair of damage with the futsal ball here in the Lansing City Arena. And meanwhile, the Lansing City is trying to get out of the back, and they do well. Kleppel and Barney. Now Barney with a 2v1. Ginga defenders getting back. Can they finish here? Looks like it was just outside.
What a play.
I believe that was Oliver Timblow on the far side.
What a great individual effort by Barney there to make it down the court and find that pass.
Yeah, and that's something that, honestly, I don't think we've seen from – we haven't really seen that kind of play out of the back when faced with the high pressure, right? In that situation, as Lansing City makes some subs, we got Tresor Crispin out there. We have Leonce Nyasaba coming out there. Jeremy Kleppel still on the floor. But for most of the teams that have played against Ginga's high press, they play direct out of it. But there, Lansing City with Kleppel and Barney, they were possessing right out of it. Something that certainly takes a lot of confidence to do, possessing the ball only meters away from your goalkeeper. Ginga now looking for their own opportunity. Some of the second line having come in for Lansing City. Perhaps Ginga trying to take advantage of this moment. Header there back into the hands of Ethan Castaneda, the first time he's really got his hands on the ball tonight. Great little move there from Kleppel. Oh, and here's a very good chance for Lansing City. Nyasaba was looking for Chris Payne on the back post, and fortunately for Ginga, I think that was that might have been Eddie Jimenez on the defense there. Ball taken away from Kleppel on the slide. Looks like the official's going to be have a word with Jeremy Kleppel after his sliding challenge on Giuliani Campos. And actually, he was the one, number 11, he was the one that made that, thwarted that attack, or else it would have been a nice little easy touching for Tresor Crispin.
Jeremy wasting no time in the opening of this campaign to make an impact, and offensively and defensively.
No doubt. Lansing City looking to gain possession, and they do. It's going to be a kick-in on the near side.
Jeremy, Jared, is it just me, or is there more just full court, throwing your body at it, 100% effort in this game than we've seen so far this season? I think I've seen more slide tackles the last 5 minutes than all season long.
Yeah, I think this is something that Lansing City does bring. They have an intensity, that I believe stems from, Coach Conrad Gonzalez. It stems from Jeremy Kleppel and his, experience playing futsal in many areas of the world. He really understands what, the intensity level can be. I mean, here's a guy who was playing against Argentina in the Futsal World Cup in 2021. He was a part of that U.S. team that, they got demolished in that game. I think it was 11-0. But he's faced that. They understand. So that seeps into the culture of Lansing City, and they are certainly, as you see tonight, they bring that intensity. They bring that level of aggression. As we see a shot here, a long one from Oliver Timblow. That one's going to be taken care of by Corey Wisenhunt.
Well, I think even equally exciting is we're seeing Ginga kind of mirror their intensity. So I think back to that opening match when Ginga faced Imperial, and there was a lot of newness and getting to know each other and figuring things out in that game, but they did lose a bit of intensity and couldn't get the full time period on that. I'm curious if they're coming out a little too hard and sprinting out of the gates, or if they'll be able to match this intensity with Lansing the entire game.
And Ginga now with their first corner of the game. See what they have here. A little chip to the far side, a touch and a shot. It's going to be handled by Kleppel in the back, but Ginga does maintain possession. Another direct ball is going to find its way all the way to keeper Ethan Castaneda. Ethan Castaneda, another one of those young players for Lansing City with lots of futsal experience, but not as much, high-level game experience. A little collision there. Ginga's going to come out with it. They find an open player, and he puts the shot into the back of the net. That's number 16, Nick Rumisek. And just their second shot on goal, it's in the back of the net. It's 1-0 Ginga.
Great goal from Rumisek, especially in front of these fans. There's a lot of intensity about this building when the fans start to file in. I don't know if the fans at home have started to notice that the crowd is starting to fill in as this game has kicked off. And the Flock is known for being a place where the sound gets really loud and it's an echoey building. So now Lansing not only having to come up with a way to eliminate that 1-goal deficit so far, but also find a way to get these fans back out of it as well.
Lansing now with their own corner on the quick attack, and a shot from Kleppel is going to go high over the bar.
Another goal there for Ginga. Two
Lansing
in quick
City
succession.
Conceding 2 goals in under a minute's time. Looks like this one's going to be scored. Was that Cole Smith?
It was Cole Smith making an impact in that last game as well.
And it's already 2-0 Ginga, in spite of Lansing City really maintaining the majority of the possession this game, Jake.
Yeah, most definitely. I feel like Lansing's really had the better of shot opportunities and plays. But look at this, Ginga, and we talk about momentum swings every single game, don't we, Jared? And this is definitely a big momentum swing for Ginga, and they're really riding that high and that adrenaline, and they're making the most of it.
And we'll see how Lansing City responds. Here is Kleppel trying to take it in for a shot. That one's going to go wide. Wisenhunt getting it started with a long, direct ball up to the pivot. It gets past the keeper, but Lansing City's there. Now Barney and Kleppel. Josh Robinson back to Kleppel. Kleppel with a touch to the left. He's looking for a left-footed strike. That one's going to be defended well. Jorge Guinevart on the defense. Another key player for the Ginga side, involved in the score line for Ginga last week. And it's hard not to when you have 13 goals.
I would imagine coming out of this one that all the Ginga guys are hungry to continue to score at this point. I mean, they got a taste for it last week, and they really had all the opportunities in the world given to them to score. So they're going to be looking to match that effort against a very high-class team tonight.
And that shot just previously coming from Drew Barney as Lansing City regains possession. We do have, looks like we have a goalkeeper change. Conrad Gonzalez has come in for Ethan Castaneda on the Lansing side. Something that we haven't seen very often in the preseason, but coach and player Conrad Gonzalez, a solid goalkeeper, fearless, as Barney takes another one, and that one is going to be deflected by goalkeeper Wisenhunt. He's got 5 saves tonight already.
Drew really putting his fingerprints all over this match so far. Been a part of a lot of key plays and key moments in Lansing's effort to get on the scoreboard.
And there it was Jonah Timblow on the far post. The shot pass, shot / pass coming from Kleppel on the far side. Didn't quite connect with him. He was there waiting for a tap in. Ginga's going to have a kick in at midcourt. Some great play there. A nice ball in. And, ooh, that one, great save from Conrad Gonzalez. Nearly got between his legs, but a little twist to the ankle prevented that shot from Riley McKenzie from coming through. That's going to be his first save of the game for Conrad Gonzalez. Again, we see Kleppel and Barney working the ball up the court. Now Barney in a dangerous position. He finds Jeremy with lots of space. Kleppel taking on the defender. 2 step-overs to the right. He's looking for a pass. He's defended well from Riley McKenzie, and he's just going to clear this one out. It's going to find its way back to the foot of Conrad Gonzalez.
A lot of positive pressure from Lansing. They just need to find a way to get it between those 2 ugly sticks. But you got to feel like they're really knocking on the door, Jared.
You really do get that feeling that they are knocking on the door. Certainly have had more dangerous opportunities than Ginga, but Ginga having the advantage on the scoreline where it matters. Now looking to build their own possession. Here's Nacho Torres. Good to see him back from injury, Jake.
Yeah, absolutely. There was a small knock in that first game that kept him out of the last match. We talked a lot about Ginga having 3 matches in 3 weeks and the pressure of that. Doing the right thing for the long run, though, and keeping Nacho healthy. I think that's going to be super important to them for the longevity of this season, with him having such an impact with the physicality he brings to this Ginga side.
Take a look at that shot from Giuliani Campos. That one was going right for the upper 90. A great save coming from Gonzalez on that one. A great vantage point for that one as well, Jake. We were able to see that one curving right into that upper 90.
It's like Conrad set up that camera for himself on that one.
Yeah, he wants to have his highlight reel. He's already got 4 right now. Here comes Lansing City. It's Kleppel on the far side. A touch inside. Drew Barney. Back to Kleppel. Kleppel taking on his defender. He gets by one, the double team. The second player takes the ball away. Ginga now on the counter. It's 3v2. One player for Lansing trailing. Drew Barney on the defense. Ginga wants a foul. They're not going to get one. Conrad comes out to claim it. Lansing City will restart their attack. You know, Jake, is it just me, or does it look like Ginga's high press has loosened up a bit from the last couple of games?
Yeah, you know, the last game, it's hard to tell if it was invited or if, if they just were really on their A game, but I feel like it is a little bit loose at the moment, and that's not something you really want. You're really opening yourself up for counters, and with the speed that Drew has shown so far in this match and Jeremy's ability to find those opportunities to really punish teams on those kinds of opportunities as well, especially with his foot. If he gets even a couple of runs on the ball, he's in a dangerous place. He knows how to set himself up for a good shot. They're kind of testing fate a little bit here.
A great move there from Drew Barney on the outside, not able to keep it. So it is going to be possessed by Ginga. Going through their goalkeeper, another ball all the way up to the pivot. That one's going to be over the head of Cole Smith, one of the goal scorers for tonight. And it looks like we're going to have the first timeout of the game being called by Lansing City about halfway into this half. And we'll have our first break in the action. Lansing City down 0-2. And Ginga with the advantage in spite of not having the most possession in that first half. Goal from Nick Rumisek, goal from Cole Smith. Jake, what do you think's going on in those huddles right now?
For Ginga, if what Satoru told us during the week holds true, he's going to be telling his guys, keep that high press up, don't lose focus, keep that energy. It's so important. Watch out for those one-on-ones with Jeremy. And I would imagine that if he's watching what Drew's been up to down this sideline too, make sure we're not overcommitting to the touchline and continue to protect the middle. That's the thing that's really helped Ginga so far in these first 10 minutes or so, is that they've done a pretty good job protecting the middle and forcing some shots that aren't necessarily ideal for Lansing's attackers. For Lansing, they got to find a way to break that and get a good shot on frame. They made Corey work a couple of times in between the pipes for Ginga, but since then, not enough on target for me. They got to find a way to get some more work in on Corey and start to make him feel uncomfortable every time they get on the ball in the final third.
Play restarts with Lansing City in possession from the hand of Conrad Gonzalez. Drew Barney looking for a ball across court diagonally to Kleppel. Ginga intercepts, and they are on the counter. The players getting back to defending. That was Jonah Timblow for Lansing City, able to thwart that attack, and they do win a kick-in on the near side of their own half.
Looks like Ginga slid back into a low press coming out of this timeout. They're really inviting the pressure at least to half court before they're starting to apply some defensive efforts and poking at this ball. Even waiting until they're at the bottom of that center circle before they're really getting in and starting to mix it up.
Nice sliding tackle there. Defensive effort from Jorge Guinevart. Not able to get the ball out of Lansing City's possession, and Kleppel does have a shot. That one's a screamer. Blocked by Wisenhunt. He's got 6 saves today.
Almost right on cue, making me look good. They got to get Corey working again. 6 saves is a lot, but not enough. We got to, if we're Lansing, we got to really be pounding the shots down the center and finding a way to get those corners of the post, get Corey down on his body on this hard floor. Ginga doing a fantastic job for the most part of trying to keep that away. Really nice effort for Lansing there, though. This is the right stuff that they want to see happening.
Lansing able to force that one out of bounds, and regain possession by way of a kicking on the far side. We did just moments ago, we saw the corner kick come in to Timblow on the Lansing City side in a dangerous area, but the ball was kind of under him, wasn't able to get anything on it, so nothing comes of that. Now a ball from Kleppel looking for the pivot Timblow, and they're not able to connect, so it's going to be Wisenhunt rolling the ball out to McKenzie. He looks up the court, and that pass is not there. So Lansing City restarts through Kleppel, and now here's Barney. Barney looking to take the man on one. Passes back to Kleppel. Kleppel back to Barney. Barney showing some good technical skill, looking to try to turn and get a ball into Jonah Timblow, but runs out of space. Very quickly hitting the wall over there behind the net, and it's going to be a keeper restart for Ginga. Ginga quickly getting it across half. Here's a ball down the side. Looks like that was Giuliani Campos. Riley McKenzie with a shot. That one blocked by Gonzalez, and Ginga's going to come away with a goal on that one. Thought for a moment it was blocked by Josh Robinson, but it was not. It found its way into the back of the net. That's number 24, Roger Straz. Going to add to Ginga's tally. It's 3-0 Ginga.
Straz has been super important to this Ginga side. Even when he's not putting balls in the back of the net, he's been an integral part of how these guys play on the court. Maybe not always in the starting lineup for Ginga, but definitely a strong second-string guy here that's really brought a lot of stability to this Ginga side. And once again, just like in the Midwest match, finding a good spot, cleaning up a deflection, being in the right place at the right time.
And here's Ginga. It's Campos in the back. High pressure from Lansing City. They have a dangerous opportunity now after the interception from Robinson. His pass to Barney is not there. It's going to be Lansing City kicking. Not able to
see Josh get greedy on that next time.
Yeah, probably could have had a better chance with the shot there, and he does take one here. Actually, no, that's Trezor Crispane, the left-footed strike on the far side. His first shot of the game. It's going to be deflected out for a corner, and Kleppel with another one, and another save for Corey Wisenhunt. He is standing tall today in net. Great effort from Robinson there to keep the ball in, but Ginga able to take possession.
Great effort there from Lansing trying to get back into it. Never quite had full control after that came up over the top, but definitely a probing ball and creating a little bit of pressure. Again, like I talked about before, they got to find a way to get a few more shots on target at this point if they want to start putting Ginga on their heels and start sowing those seeds of doubt that this high press isn't what they want to do, and they need to sit back and be a little more thoughtful. But so far, Ginga really controlling this game and controlling the momentum based on the counterattacks, even though Lansing still seems to me, in the grand scheme of this, having the majority of the ball.
Lansing building their own attack now. Kleppel faced up against Torres. He's going to find the short one to Barney. Barney going to the other side of the court. He gets past Campos. Campos with a sliding tackle. He said, "You're not past me yet." Lansing City with the kick in. Kleppel in a 1v1 situation. He gets a touch on the inside, looking for a shot. It's going to be deflected by a sliding. Couldn't catch that number. Did you see who that was, Jake?
Trying to take a look now and see on my replay. It looks like... Oh, I lost it. I did not catch that number. I'm so sorry.
Looks like it was number 16. I think that was Nick Runisek on the sliding defense, putting his body on the line. That is something, it takes almost as much guts to play as playing keeper in this game.
Not quite as crazy as volunteering to stay in that arc, but still a bit of always a challenge to find the bravery. But in the meantime, go on the other side.
That's Cole Smith with his second of the night. That one was pretty. A nice little chip from Giuliani Campos and a first-time finish out of the air. The volley from Cole Smith for his second goal of the night. Ginga find themselves up 4-0 with 6:17 left in half number one.
You can see there was a little bit of a defensive lapse there from Lansing. Looks like Josh caught himself ahead of the line of the ball and just wasn't there to help protect the middle and cut out that pass, and that's eventually what led to Cole being wide open on the other side.
Now Lansing with essentially a corner kick here. Another substitute coming on. That's Leonce Nyasaba. He receives the ball. Actually, he leaves it for Kleppel. Kleppel taking a step to his left. Another shot. That one's going to be well over and wide of the goal. And now another quick, direct ball up to Cole Smith, who's looking for a foul there. He's not going to get one. Trezor Crispane bringing the aggression on that one, and that's something you're going to see him do all day long. He never backs down from a challenge like that.
Cole Smith, you can see the confidence in just rising in him as the game goes on, even in his body language. Same thing happened against Midwest. You know, he got that ball in the back of the net, started to jog around this court with a bit of swagger, and you're seeing it again. He's starting to really feel good about not only how this game is going, but probably how the last few games have gone with his name on our microphones here.
Here is Trezor Crispane. His back to goal, defended by Giuliani Campos. He finds the foot of Jeremy Kleppel. Jeremy sizing up the defender. He loses that one. It's kicked away by Nacho Torres. With 5 minutes to go, Lansing City with a kick in near half.
Confidence on Nacho as well there to slide across and take ownership at the top of that diamond in defense and do what he could to shut down Jeremy, and found a way to poke that away and at least stall the attack for Lansing.
Lansing again bringing the ball into the attacking half. Finds its way back to Conrad Gonzalez. A ball into the pivot. Kleppel was looking for Crispane there. Not able to connect, so it will roll over the end line to be restarted by goalkeeper Corey Wisenhunt. Here's a long throw from Wisenhunt. Found the foot of Eddie Jimenez there, but not able to control it. There's a ball into the pivot again for Lansing City. Nyasaba looking for a whistle. He's not going to get one. So Wisenhunt restarts play, and the ball into Jorge Guinevart. Lost for the moment, got it back, and lost again. Now Lansing City building their own attack. Well, that's a great little ball there into Leonce Nyasaba. He was one-on-one with the keeper. Great save.
Great of Corey to come out and get big on that one and cut down that shooting lane. Otherwise, that could have been the goal that Lansing was looking for to break the ice and get something really rolling.
Here's Oliver Timblow. Keeping that ball in. Getting past a couple defenders, but a little out of control. He loses that one. Kleppel is beat by Dima Cherubina, and Conrad Gonzalez with the save. Great move there from Cherubina, getting his first shot of the night, beating Kleppel on the near side.
You know, we talked about potential biases at the beginning of the game as we introduced everyone. Dima definitely becoming a fan favorite with his efforts, especially against Midwest last week, and the kind of backstory on him of being new to futsal, but being an absolute sponge and learning the game. And it looks like he's just really enjoying himself out there.
Yeah, he really does look like it. And it looks like that, you know, Ginga, they don't look as comfortable as we've seen them in, you know, like the previous game, say, but they do still look like they are comfortable, having fun. Like you said, Dima Cherubina being that sponge, learning all this, you know, in a short amount of time in futsal, and he's playing well. And you see another combination play here from Ginga, and a dangerous strike. It's going to have to be turned aside by Conrad. Another one, and he puts that one over the bar. 2 rapid saves. And the second one on the shot from Roger Straz, trying to add to his goal tally. Lansing City, apart from goalkeeper Conrad Gonzalez, lacking in the defensive area for the time being.
You could see a little bit of animation from Conrad on that as well, trying to wake up his guys a little bit. Hey, listen, there's a job to do on this side of the half, and it's not a one-man gig.
So far, Gonzalez doing well to keep the ball out of the back of the net, though he has conceded 3 times. Or was there 2 goals when he got subbed in? I can't quite remember. 2 or 3?
Yeah,
just 2. So though conceding 2, he's done well to keep the ball out of the back of the net. He has faced some dangerous chances. Something I'm sure Lansing City will talk about in the locker room, cleaning up that defense as they look to find their first breakthrough here in the final 2 minutes. Here's Drew Barney looking to take a defender on, going inside. He finds the foot of Kleppel. Kleppel now. Juliana Campos on the defense. Back to Barney. Barney to Timblow. Timblow across the face of goal. Josh Robinson was there, but it snuck past him. Lansing City not able to convert.
That one brought my hands to my face. I thought we had our first goal. I was getting excited.
Sure looked like Lansing might convert on that one.
You know, as the time's dwindling here and I'm thinking about a halftime talk, I think a couple things that I'm noticing from Lansing in these last few minutes is, aside from, I'd say, Jeremy and Drew at the moment on the court, a little too static in our rotation. Once Ginga gets set defensively, and there's a great shot from Jeremy again, but the rest of the squad needs to find a way to move a little more and try and break up that Ginga defense the same way Ginga is doing that to them on the opposite side. If they could get a little more dynamic with those runs, confuse the Ginga defense, and I think that all this time on the ball and all this effort that we're seeing from Lansing could turn into a couple of goals on the scoreboard.
And that effort from Ginga, that was number 4, Jacob Pokorski, and number 16, Nick Rumisek, challenging Conrad Gonzalez and Jeremy Kleppel, screaming back to try to help on the defense, and the ball ending up going out of bounds, restarted by Lansing City. Owen Robinson with a bad giveaway there. It's 1v1. Conrad makes the first save. The second one goes off the post. Barney's there. So is Giuliani Campos. He hits the court. No call. Conrad Gonzalez ends up with the ball in his paws. I think Giuliani Campos was looking for a call there as we see that shot going off the post from Nick Rumisek, almost getting his second goal of the game.
That's the kind of shot that drops your heart into your stomach thinking, oh, man, it was literally a ball's length away. But just like in the last match, we see Ginga getting disappointed by that ugly, ugly white thing and being the sticks there that put our goals together. But they are still knocking on the door and finding ways on these counterattacks to be super dangerous.
A lot of dangerous attacks still from them. Lansing City getting their first one into the back of the net. That is Josh Robinson with the goal. The assist coming from Jonah Timblow. Very pretty play, not unlike we've seen early, thus far, but this one is into the back of the net. 4-1, Ginga's on top.
Not only an important goal for Lansing there, getting them on the board here, first goal of the season, but also I think an important one for Josh. He's had a couple of sitters, maybe getting rid of those early season jitters here, and hopefully that gives him some confidence, and we get to see him on the score line a couple more times tonight.
So that goal from Lansing City coming in the final minute. There's 10 seconds left here. Do they have anything else in the tank? Again, our scoreboard not always completely synced in with the live scoreboard, so just because that clock hits 0 doesn't mean that the scoreboard in-house is at 0 as that shot from Jeremy goes wide. Now Ginga looking for their own opportunity before the half ends. Here's Roger Straz, and that's going to do it for half number 1. Ginga with the 4-1 advantage over Lansing City. Lots of dangerous opportunities from Ginga. Lansing City with a lot of possession in the attacking half. Not a lot of finishes, but Jake, they did get one right there near the end of the half.
Yeah, Jared, important timing on that one, I think, going into the end of the half, killing that momentum a little bit for Ginga in the sense that, hey, we were the last ones to draw blood. Like I said, I think it was important to the team just as much as it was important to Josh. You can see he's been up there for a few opportunities, building his confidence here. Don't have to swing hard at it. It's just got to go in the back of the net. That's a great example of it. And I love that the whole team was moving on that play. I think that that's really important to the dynamic of breaking down that Ginga defense that has otherwise been pretty solid for this first half.
And it definitely has. Both sides of the ball for Ginga have been solid. 4 goals coming from them. And we'll talk a little bit more about the stats on both sides. As we take a break here for halftime, we'll have a little bit of halftime thoughts and reflections in just a few minutes, so don't go anywhere. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Cincinnati, Ohio. It's 4-1. Ginga is on top of Lansing here in the FCS Week 3. I'm Jared Kleppel alongside Jake George. Jake, what were some of your thoughts from that first half?
Well, really liking what I'm seeing from Ginga. I mean, they're doing a great job of owning their house down here in Cincinnati. We talked about how this is Lansing's first trip in a long time, and it is a long one. It's the longest one of the season. So, once again, second week in a row, we see a team ripping off the Band-Aid and dealing with their longest travel of the year right off the rip. I don't know if that has any impact on a little bit of the effort on the court from Lansing. I feel like they're doing a great job moving the ball around. If I had to be really nitpicky, I'd like to see a little more movement on the offensive side to help create more opportunities for Jeremy and Drew as they're facilitating. But if they get that figured out, they're going to get more opportunities like what they saw from Josh right in front of goal to end that first half. So that's going to be huge.
And to kick off the second half, Lansing City with possession very quickly into the attacking half, much like we saw them in the first half doing a lot. And a shot here from Kleppel is going to be coming across the face of goal. And Josh Robinson on the back post, but it was behind him, so he's not able to finish it. Just taking a look at a couple of interesting stats, both goalkeepers with nearly 10 saves. Corey Wisenhunt with 9. Ethan Castaneda was only in there for the first couple minutes. He did have one to his name. And Conrad Gonzalez with 10 saves in that first half. So both goalies seen a lot of action tonight as Nacho Torres is looking to get past Jeremy Kleppel, and he's able to knock the ball out of bounds for Ginga's first corner of the second half.
Little unfortunate touch there from Ginga, but hey, we're only 40 seconds in. Shake that one off. Keep it going. You guys have put some great efforts together on this court so far. Get right back into that groove, and I'm curious if Satoru's message in the locker room was more of the same, because it seemed to really be working for him in that first half.
Yeah, Ginga was under a lot of pressure on defense. Lansing City with the majority of their possession in the attacking half. Ginga playing that, kind of switching to that low press, but they were doing well to kind of take the punches and take the shots and passes of Lansing City and make them to no effect. And really, when we had a chance to catch up with Satoru Matsushima, as a shot coming in here from Riley McKenzie misses just barely, almost adding to that 4-1 lead. Let's take another look at that. I think it was a toe poke with his right foot. And that one just barely missing. And I did see Ethan Castaneda back in goal for Lansing City, so that's great to see him back in between the pipes. But as I was mentioning, one of the strategies that Ginga was bringing to this game, as mentioned by Coach Satoru Matsushima, was to kind of, allow for this 1v1 and 2v2 play by Lansing, but to block the shots, right? Don't try to steal it when, Kleppel is attacking you, but block the shot and thwart the pass, and they've done very well of that so far.
I think it shows in the shots that Jared has been afforded. They've been a lot from this range, like we just saw here on Wisenhunt from half court, or they've been on the sides in places that aren't necessarily easy places to shoot from, tight shooting lanes, not great angles. So far, Ginga doing a great job of trying to muffle, because you can't ever completely eliminate that risk when Jeremy's on the court, but you sure can muffle it a little bit and try and limit those exposures, and we've seen a lot off frame because of it. So great effort so far from Ginga on defense. They've got to keep that focus, put a full 40 minutes in on defense this game if they want to keep it that way.
Here's Robinson over to Kleppel. Kleppel on the far side to Barney. Lansing City looking for possession and an opportunity forward. Kleppel with a touch inside the attacking half. He was looking for Trezor Crispane on that one, and that one's going to roll past his right foot, and it's going to be Corey Wisenhunt to restart play with a keeper restart. Let's see if he goes direct again all the way to pivot, and it looks like he is going to do that. We've seen that strategy from him throughout this whole game, and really from Ginga in the past as well, trying to eliminate the high press opportunity for the defending team by just going straight to the pivot right away from the goalkeeper. It was going to trickle out of bounds in favor of Lansing City. Apple will restart with Barney there. Nick Rumisek on the defense. Now Giuliani Campos defending Barney. Ball comes over to Kleppel. Kleppel with a step inside. He now finds Crispane, but it's too far for him. It goes out of bounds before he can get a touch. Ginga restarts from the back. It's Corey Weisenhunt. Another long one from him. It's going to be right to the chest of Kleppel. And now Josh Robinson, it's on his left foot, looking for a near post strike. He gets it away, but it's not going to attribute to the scoreline. Weisenhunt defending that one. And now Kleppel, little touch inside, looking for some space. Couldn't find any, but he does retain possession in a kick-in.
I think that defensive effort by Ginga of two guys hitting the deck says a lot about Jeremy's game. I would take that as a compliment if I were him. Cuts to the middle. He's been looking for that shot in the middle since we started the half. Those guys assumed he was going to take it, but he continues on. They take the fake.
There's another one there. Nick Rumisek sliding into the turf. Certainly had to be a part of Coach Matsushima's strategy for this game in trying to block those shots from Lansing. Get on the court, get down on the ground, and be willing to sacrifice your body for the sake of the team.
And a team that has built a really strong culture in a short period of time as well. These guys are definitely a family. They are really playing for each other and playing for Ginga in the city of Cincinnati. And it actually goes beyond that to a player that's not on the court tonight. Victor Balaguer from Spain is actually back home in Valencia, where they just had some really tough flooding, and he's going home to help with disaster relief in his family. Satoru was telling us midweek that this team is playing for him tonight. Everything Ginga does tonight is for their teammate Victor, and he is in their thoughts as they go for the win tonight.
And that shot from Drew Barney off his left foot is going to sail over the bar. And we have seen that kind of heart from Ginga tonight and that competitiveness as well, as they find themselves with another opportunity for a kick in on the near side. Kind of another interesting point. I believe we've only had one foul in this entire game, Jake.
Yeah, it's been, amongst all the intensity, a really clean match, and it says a lot about the cultures of both teams, I believe, when you see that. This is a game that can be extremely physical, and we're finding a way to do it in a clean way, but not give up any of that intensity, and it's made for a really great show for the fans, I think.
Hopefully we have another 16 minutes of a show to come. Now it's Chris Spain with his back to goal. He's defended well by Dima Sherabina, but he gives the ball up. It's Oliver Timblow. Sherabina comes back to win it. Timblow coming back to win it off of him, and now Kleppel beginning the attack for Lansing City. Here's Drew Barney getting knocked off the ball by Dima Sherabina, looking for a counter, and that one finds a foot of Kleppel. This is dangerous. Great defending there. Kleppel was about to be nearly 1v1 with the keeper, and that is never something that you want to see.
Jeremy, knowing that these guys are focusing on him, notice how he wasted no time getting forward and setting himself up. The last two guys for Ginga just doing and there it is. Amazing goal from Jeremy.
You knew it was going to come at some point. He has been. He's been knocking, and finally breaks through on that one. Getting past the two sliding Ginga defenders, Satoru Matsushima putting his body on the line. I believe that might have been Narek Asparian also putting his body on the line. There, the Lansing City is going to get their second goal.
I'll say it one more time. I've been beating this horse to death, but momentum swings in futsal. So important. We saw Lansing score that goal going into the half. A positive thing to take away from as they go into the break. And now coming out of the break on the opposite side, another goal, more production, good efforts from this team, good pressure from this team. They are really, really playing with some confidence at the moment. Ginga's got to find a way to shut this down quick and kill this momentum if they don't want Lansing to get back in this game.
Great defending there from Jonah Timblow. A sliding tackle now coming out is going to be whistled. Find the first whistle of the half. Nice little show of sportsmanship there from Eddie Jimenez after the sliding tackle that he got whistled for. Patting Jonah Timblow on the back. No hard feelings there. As Naya Sabo's looking for a ball across the middle. Oliver Timblow is there, but it goes just under his foot. And Ginga now trying to create their own attack.
I'm a bit biased, us, Jared, but I'm going to say that wasn't commentator's curse. We made that comment about fouls a while ago, so you can't blame that one on us.
I don't think so, and we still have only had one, so we'll see. That one just Robinson and Kleppel not quite on the same page there. It will be a giveaway. Now, Lansing City, they do cut this deficit to 2 here. They have scored the last 2 goals. But you got to admit, on the Ginga side, I don't think that they can be too displeased with what's going on. I mean, you have to assume that Kleppel's going to get a goal or 2 here or there with, his talent level and how he plays, the opportunity he's getting tonight. So to only have conceded 1 from them at this point and to be up by 2, I don't think it's so bad and maybe not really, maybe kind of an expected part of the game plan for Ginga right now.
Yeah, a big part of the talk from Coach Satoru was that, listen, we know the kind of the play that we're going to see from Jeremy. We know what his output is like, what his talent level is like, but he is human. And so it was important for him to tell us players that, hey, look, it's not impossible to stop this guy, keep that confidence level high, stick to the plan, and we can start to slow this thing down. So it wasn't about finding a solution to it as much as managing the fact that Jeremy's going to be on the court for the majority of this game.
And here is Kleppel now taking the ball down the sideline, facing the double. That's a nice sliding tackle. I believe that was number 5, Jorge Guinevart, on the defense.
Got to give Ginga some credit there on that defense. They found a way to snuff that out. It doesn't look like Drew was able to see that ball coming through, and it took a deflection. So they were able to get away with letting that dribble out on the other side and reset a little bit here.
On that one, going off the side of the goal, coming from Kleppel. Weisenhunt will restart play with a roll to Guinevart. Some high pressure coming from Lansing City. Drew Barney's up there, and that's going to be a second touch by goalkeeper Corey Weisenhunt, and a turnover in favor of Lansing City. Just very quickly, if you're not familiar with this particular rule in futsal, it's called a second touch. The goalkeeper, when the team has possession of the ball, the goalkeeper can only touch the ball 1 time in the defending half. So the first keeper restart, where he restarted the game through his hands, that counts as his first touch. So this one here, the pass back to him, is a second touch, and it becomes an infraction. And it's going to be a free kick for Lansing City right on the top of the arc. Number 81, Kleppel, looming over it. Those guys might be shaking in their boots. I don't know. Don't want to be in the wall for this one, and it's a strike from Kleppel, and it's going to be blocked. Jorge Guinevart, the one stepping up to block that one.
Actually, it looks like, too, maybe a goalkeeper substitution that snuck by us here, Jared. It looks like that's Gabe Clark that's gotten between the pipes and starting to see some action.
Speaking of goalkeepers, there's Ethan Castaneda getting involved. Trezor Crispane, he has an opportunity, gets by Clark here, but the defensive Ginga screaming back. Crispane still trying to fight, and he's going to get whistled for Lansing's first foul of the second half. So as you mentioned, yes, it's Gabe Clark, number 37, who's going to be in net for Ginga this half.
Great battle there from Rumasek as well as from Crespin there. Very smart for Lansing to keep that pressure high and not let them set off that. Don't just give it back to them after an effort. I love to see it. Ultimately ended up in a foul, yes, but I think it was in an important place for you to show that intensity, keep bringing that momentum, and make sure that this Ginga side knows, hey, 2 goals isn't enough for you guys. We're going to find a way to get back in this game.
This one's going to be a kick-in for Lansing City deep in their own territory. And it's worth mentioning as well, Lansing City taking the trip to Cincinnati tonight, only bringing, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, only bringing 9 players in total. So on the bench, it's 3 court players and a goalie, running much more thin than Ginga's side, who I believe they rostered 14 or 15 for the night.
certainly a tough task. We talked about the trip itself. I believe it's a little over 4 hours to get down to Cincinnati from Lansing. And then on top of that, you're doing it with just a few subs less than maybe you'd like to see. So this is definitely a tough challenge for Lansing. You cannot write that off as part of this storyline, that's for sure. But, man, credit to Ginga. They have taken what they've learned from the offseason and from game one. And, man, they've applied a lot of what they've learned and evolved very quickly in these first 3 games.
Yeah, their defense has been looking strong, haven't given up too many dangerous opportunities, and they have been capitalizing on the offensive side. They have 4 goals right now, so we'll see what happens in this final 12 minutes or so of the half. Lansing trying to claw back into this one. They have cut the deficit to 2. They have scored the previous 2 goals. Ginga's first 4 coming unanswered in the first half. Lansing with one of their goals in the last minute of the first half, and their second goal just a few minutes ago to bring this one to 4-2, and that's where we stand right now.
Really anyone's game at this point. It's been a tale of 2 halves so far, and Lansing, again, really with control, just like they did with most of the start of the first half, and we find ourselves now with a bit of an attack from Lansing.
And Kleppel looking for Jonah Timbalow on the far side. It did go past Josh Robinson as well, but it's going to be out of reach for both of them. And Ginga will restart deep in their own territory. Here's a long one to restart play. Robinson's there. He gets a head on it, but it's going to go out of bounds. As we see Satoru Matsushima enter the game for Ginga. Playing it back to Gabe Clark. There's the goalkeeper's one touch on his defending half. The ball played up. It's going to find its way all the way to Lansing's goalkeeper, Ethan Castaneda, and he'll let it roll over the end line and restart play from his hands. And Kleppel almost missing that one. Wasn't aware that Castaneda was rolling him the ball, but he's able to find it, and he's going to bring the ball up with Drew Barney like we've seen them do many times tonight. And another shot, and that one nearly missing that far upper 90 from Kleppel.
That had to be close. Didn't that look like it was going to hit that post and go in?
It did. But there is a white background behind that post, so our eyes could be deceiving us. It might have been further off than we thought, but Kleppel did seem like he did have a reaction that made it seem like it was a near miss.
Seeing Satoru on the court reminds me so much of some of the conversations we've gotten to have with him over the last few weeks. And one of the big things is he's constantly learning. His team's constantly learning. They're constantly working on building on and forward. And one interesting little note about Coach Satoru is he is actually going to be making a little trip back home to Japan. And when he does, he's training with some old friends from his time in Japan playing and learn from them even more. And I think that's just such a testament, is even when he's away celebrating family and on a vacation, he's finding a way to hone this craft here and bring what he learns back to the States. A great part of our futsal community, Satoru.
And he might be bringing in some backup from over there, won't he?
That's right. You know, we talked about with him this week that he's going to be seeing one of his old pals who is currently at Machida, which is an F-League club. So he's coaching there as a goalkeeper coach, and conversation about him coming back and joining the staff and sharing what he's learned from the top flight in Japan. And on that note, too, Jared, I should probably admit to everyone here that I made a mistake in a previous stream. I mentioned that Satoru had participated himself in the F-League. He, the modest guy that he is, asked us to correct that. He played in regional futsal, which is the next tier down, and wanted to make sure that I didn't blow him up too big as the ego goes here. And but he did have a successful career in that Kanto region playing futsal, and has met some really great contacts that are going to have some influence on the futsal community in Cincinnati, which I think is really cool.
Lansing City winning this one back on the near side. Barney's looking up. I think that's Trezor Crispane, who's still in at pivot for Lansing. And if I know Lansing, we're going to have a timeout coming up here pretty soon. They like to give their players a break, especially with this thin lineup about halfway into the game. So we'll see if that happens. We'll see if my prediction comes true. I'm taking a risk with my first prediction here live on stream, so we'll see what happens. But that shot's going to be missing the net, and a restart from Ethan Castaneda.
The good news is I'll give you some insurance because I've admitted to being wrong once already this season.
That's right. So I won't be the first one that's wrong.
I hold that honor.
What a great honor. Here's Barney with a great touch. Looking for the far post. It's blocked. Great defense there from Roger Straz. We've seen him on both sides of the ball tonight. Trezor Crispane trying to find some room. A good touch. 1-2 with his feet to get that touch and just misses that far post.
Great footwork to create that opportunity for Crispane, but just pulls that shot a little bit across his body, and that's enough to keep it off frame. Everything else absolutely beautiful coming out of that. He's got to feel like he's knocking on the door as well, just like we thought about the whole team earlier.
And he's definitely a player that I would keep an eye on. He's a very powerful and strong pivot for Lansing City. He's got very good footwork, and he's got a very strong build. We've seen him throughout today be aggressive. You know, we saw him pick up that foul when he was trying to win the ball back deep in the attacking territory. But we're going to see that kind of play from him and that technical ability from a strong pivot. And that's something we're going to watch out for. As he has a shot here that's going to be blocked by Gabe Clark. Almost right on cue with a goal there, but it's going to be blocked. Gabe Clark.
Apparently he didn't get our script.
No, he didn't, but it's a great hand save from Gabe Clark. Kleppel trying to find some space. He's defended well by Torres. Barney and now Crispane. Crispane hits the court. No call. It's a restart from the hands of Clark for Ginga. 8 minutes to go in half number 2. It's 4-2 Ginga. Clark going up high again, trying to find the pivot. It's a great touch from Nacho Torres. I believe he chested that one down. Maybe it came off the shoulder. Looking for Roger Straz on the far side. Excuse me, that's Eddie Jimenez on the far side. And sometimes, you know, as seemingly wild in kind of a control type of way, like uncontrolled, as seemingly uncontrolled as sometimes these long throws from the Ginga goalies have been, Ginga has actually done very well. They actually are very controlled, and they are finding their, you know, the pivot up there. And, you know, I would say that they have a pretty good percentage of keeping possession and finding something positive, you know, by going high and direct from a keeper restart.
Not an easy ball to control as it's coming up through the air as opposed to what we normally see in futsal with passes like this coming from Jeremy. But, you know, when they do get that good first touch, you set yourself up for that shot. It can be lethal because more often than not, you're ahead of your defender, and there's not too many people more in front of you other than that goalkeeper to take care of. So a lot of opportunity for some instant gratification on those plays.
Here's Barney now dancing with it. Back to Kleppel. Kleppel a touch inside. Back to Barney. Barney with a roll inside, trying to get on his left foot. He does, and the shot's going to be deflected. I believe this is going to be a Lansing City corner. Yes, it is, on the far side.
It looked like Gabe might have been able to push that just over the post there, and that's that last little touch, that last little brush was enough to get that corner, and we see Lansing on the ball again with a full restart.
And I think, Jake, the time is closing on my prediction here, so I hope Lansing City calls a timeout. I'm just kidding. No problem. Lansing City is going to have a kick-in on the far side.
Ginga's done a great job so far this half of stopping that early momentum from Lansing and bring this game back into control. You know, but on the other side, Lansing has a lot of good things to talk about so far for the second half. They look really good. The shots have been tighter and tighter on frame as we go as well. Maybe Coach Conrad's thinking, I don't really want to slow this down. We got a lot of good momentum. We got some decent opportunities, but here we see a counter.
It's a bad giveaway from Trezor Crispane. Jorge Guinevart trying to make the most of it, but Ethan Castaneda playing big, playing strong, coming all the way out of goal, something you must do as a futsal keeper. Couple having in a chat with the official about something. Not sure what was going on there. But Ginga now looking to create their own chances. Nick Rumasek with the ball, playing it back. Giuliani Campos back to Rumasek. Rumasek defended by Robinson. A couple step overs, a pass with his left foot to the far side. Now back to Campos. Campos to the going for goal, it looked like there. Ambitious strike is going to about hit that purple door. So if that's 3 goals hit the purple door, they'd have 3 goals added to their scoreline right now. But
all it would have taken is a civil engineer shifting this building a few feet over, and we'd have a much different scoreline.
Much different scoreline. But all due respect to Giuliani Campos, he's been a big factor for Ginga today, both sides of the ball. Been impressed with his defensive play, particularly as a header from Kleppel and a shot from Chris Baines off the post. How many times will City hit the post tonight? I think that's probably the 4th time. Man, it just kind of feels like they're going to get at least one more with this kind of pressure they're bringing. Here's a ball, nice one into Nyasaba from Kleppel. He's able to kind of do a half turn, and now Ginga on the far side. It's going to be Nick Rumisek who tried to kind of flick that one past Ethan Castaneda, and he's able to turn it aside, but it is a Ginga corner, and I think this is the part when I say he wouldn't have scored if there was a goal on top of a goal.
Normally when we've seen Ginga in the past, they've had fans up there, nice concession stand, nice balcony view, and it might be a good thing we didn't have everybody up there. We might have had a little insurance claim on our hands.
Now Castaneda restarts. Josh Robinson with the ball at his foot. Ayasaba rotates to the far side. The ball comes into the middle for Chris Bain. It's lost. Here's Rumisek. Ball finding its way back to the fixo. Giuliani Campos. Lansing City pushing their attack up. Now into a high press. Gabe Clark with his first touch. It's Josh Robinson with a shot that's going to be blocked by Giuliani Campos, but Lansing City is still knocking at the door. It's back to Kleppel. Back to Chris Bain, and that one probably can't really call that one a shot. He missed by quite some yardage there.
Looks like similar to an earlier miss. Looks like he just kind of pulled it across his body a little bit. I don't know if that ball just stuck to his foot a little more than he was expecting or a little off balance yet, trying to make something out of that play. He's been putting in a ton of effort up top. I have a ton of respect for Pivos. They have that natural battle with the fixo all game long. It's a physical game. Then you have to turn around and have some finesse with a shot. It is not an easy job, and he's doing a great job handling the pressure with some of his moves and the opportunities he has created.
And here's Leonce Nyasaba trying to play a ball across. It's going to be blocked by Jacob Pokorski. The sliding block that we've seen Ginga do many times. And just a little bit ago on the other side, we had Ethan Castaneda with a tremendous save. And then an open goal, but Kleppel was there, and he takes another shot here. It's turned aside by Gabe Clark.
Check this replay. Gabe Clark having to get quick and reacting fast to this ball. Otherwise, it'd be going right over his shoulder. Great work, Gabe, getting down on that thing, especially being screened a little bit on that play.
Here's Kleppel again. Hungry for more. His shot's going to sail well above the goal. Ginga survive another Lansing City attack. And it's going to be restarted from goalkeeper Gabe Clark. It's going to be playing high to the pivot again. This one's going to sail over the head of his attacker Cole Smith and into the hands of Ethan Castaneda. And Lansing City will restart play completely the opposite, and they go short. Ginga again, low pressure, sagging off of Lansing City, allowing them to come into the attacking half. Here's a ball to Nyasaba. He plays it into Robinson. Robinson's able to keep it in traffic. It's out to Kleppel. A couple step overs and a shot. Kleppel hits the court. No whistle. And a good show of sportsmanship between him and Roger Straz. The Lansing is going to have a corner kick. It's played short. And I believe that one went over the end line. It's going to be a keeper restart. 4.5 to go. Lansing still down 2. Ginga trying to hang on to this lead. Another long one from the goalkeeper. It finds the foot of Kleppel, who slides. No call. A slide from Roger Straz. He clears the ball out. And now it's Trezor Crispane. He gets by one. Almost got the second one, but Giuliani Campos said no. Excuse me, that was Dima Sherbina, who now has it again. Castaneda comes out. A great sliding save from him. But Ginga still has it Ooh, and a one-time touch coming from Cole Smith, but that play would have been negated by a faulty kick-in.
I think we're going to see that timeout here soon you were looking for from Lansing.
Yeah, I think we just saw.
Official.
Yep, just handing that card to third official. So I was a few minutes off. So I don't know. I feel like I still did not feel like that was an incorrect prediction. I don't think I can count that.
Well, I think when we look at the strategy of that timeout, you talked about the opportunity to do that to give a break to the team being a little bit thin on the road. Looks like instead Conrad has decided to save that tactically, and as we get into these final few minutes where things are getting really critical, that we do the best with every opportunity for Lansing, I would imagine this is going to be a much more tactical conversation inside of the circle.
It's a little bit of technical difficulty here, as we do have that timeout from Lansing City. Our first timeout of this half. Just want to take a moment to say that today's game is sponsored by Ally Marketing, your friend in marketing. If you're looking for a business to come alongside of your business in all things marketing, digital, print, otherwise, such as logos, websites, social media, and the like, Ally Marketing will be the partner you've always been looking for in the marketing space. Ally Marketing, let's be friends. Also, the marketing company taking care of the Lansing City social medias and website. As Lansing now coming onto the court, 4 minutes left. And they're down by 2. Jake, as we restart play here with just about 4 minutes to go, what do you think's going on in that Lansing City huddle in that timeout?
I think it's important that they find a way to focus in this final third and make the most of these shots. We've found Lansing penetrating down to the final third, but again, Ginga doing a great job of staying tight on defense. I think that last play where we had a really great effort from the pivot there in the corner showcased an opportunity to catch Ginga off foot. We didn't quite get the chance with a wayward shot, but we did see that their formation was a little bit off as they were trying to reset. Those are the kind of moments you want to create as Lansing and make the most of each shot. Even if it takes an extra 30 seconds or so to set that up, in the grand scheme of things, that's going to be better for you in the long run, even with this tight time clock.
Now here's Barney trying to find Kleppel. Right back to him. It's going to be out of bounds for a Ginga kick-in. And how about on the other side, Jake? During that timeout, what do you think Ginga's talking about?
If I was Coach Satoru, I would be telling them to keep their heads, stick to the game plan. Do not forget what we're here for and what we've done so far this game that has worked so well. You see him talking now about it and keeping his guys sharp as the rest of these guys are putting the plan in action on the court. And they need to see this through for the next 3 minutes. Do not get sidetracked. Do not get baited into those one-on-ones. Stick to the game plan. Protect the middle. Protect Gabe in between the pipes so that they're easy saves all day long.
And in futsal, 2 goals is not hard to come by. They can come very quick. Even if this game's margin was greater, even if it was 3, maybe even 4 goals, you would not think that it is outside of the realm of possibility for the attacking team to get those kind of goals. And the way Lansing City's been playing tonight, the chances that they've created, 2 goals can't feel too comfortable for Ginga as they try to add to that. Here's Barney hitting the turf. Now Castaneda's there, but it's going to be a whistle first. Jacob Pekorski getting called for that one as he knocked Drew Barney to the turf. Dangerous ball there from Barney. Jorge Guinevart was there. He's there again on the toss from Castaneda. Kleppel to put it into play. He finds Robinson. It's back to him. On the other side to Barney. Barney to the middle. Chris Spain. Kleppel trying to lift it over Guinevart. Not able to. Chris Spain doing well to win a kick-in for Lansing.
You talk about those 2 goals not being comfortable. This is the kind of stuff that makes it uncomfortable. The stoppages in futsal. We're not waiting for stoppage time to be announced at the end of a game here like in the outdoor version of the game. So there's a lot of opportunity here, especially at the pace that futsal is played at. this 2.5 minutes, you got to think of it the last 2 minutes in basketball. It's a long time, and there's a lot of opportunity for some goals.
We see a foul here coming from Kleppel as he runs over Jorge Guinevart. It's going to be a foul for Lansing City. Neither team's really in danger of that 6-foul PK, both with 2 at the moment this half. That's something, if you're unfamiliar with futsal, each half, the fouls for each team are counted. And if you hit 6 fouls, that 6th foul is a penalty shot from the second marker, which is a little bit further back from the normal penalty marker. And each successive foul after that is also a shot from there. I think that was Satoru Matsushima, who was looking at an open goal. Castaneda got in the way, but he sends it wide. Ginga with a great opportunity to extend their lead there. I'm sure they're going to want that one back.
First real shot we've seen from Satoru all season long. He's really been someone who's been a distributor for this team and allowing the rest of his team to shine. He has really not done much as far as final third finishes. So that's really the first action we've seen from him this season in these last 3 games.
Just under 2 minutes to go here. And again, we're bringing you this production from our studios in Lansing. So the score clock not completely synced up with the scoreboard in the arena there. So when that time expires, it might not be the complete end of the game, or the game might end a little bit early. For all you watching at home, just to be aware of that slight difference. As this ball from Barney into Crispane is not going to go anywhere for Lansing City, and instead it's going to be Gabe Clark restarting from the back. We've seen him throw it all the way up to the pivot many times, as he is again. This one's going to just bounce in kind of an awkward manner.
Wow.
Yeah, that one was strange. Castaneda is able to get his hands on it, though.
Little help from the crossbar again in this game.
And now Lansing crying for a foul there. And still asking for a foul, and nothing's given. And now they take possession.
Definitely a tough challenge. Definitely a tough challenge. Sorry about that, Jeremy. Or Jared, I'm going to keep doing that, I guess, because I'm staring at Jeremy. But Jared, I got to say, though, the guys got to focus on the Lansing side and not worry about those fouls. Here's that crossbar shot again. Got to keep focused in these last few minutes and keep this game pressure moving forward, or Ginga will punish you the way they're playing right now. I mean, they are definitely firing on all cylinders. Don't worry about what the referee's thinking in the background. The call's already been made. I know that's easy to say from the couch like I am right now from the office desk here, but they got to stay focused and make the most of the time they have.
Another one there coming from Kleppel. Great save from Clark, staying locked in. He's got 5 saves. Here's another look at that. Right-footed strike.
Keeper effort across the board for Ginga has been really good. This is we've seen all 3 keepers in action in the last 3 matches, and they've all been very impressive.
And another one there, but Lansing City still on the attack. This one left for Barney, and his shot is wild. Not going to find its way to anywhere positive, and it's going to be a restart from goalkeeper Gabe Clark. Looking far again. This time he rolls it up to center court. Dima Sherbina gains possession. He's pressured by Barney. Now Nick Rumisek. Defense coming from Robinson. Chris Spain steps up on Campos. McKenzie heads it to the middle, but it's to Barney. And now here's Chris Spain trying to find some space. He cuts it back. Riley McKenzie's there to hit it out of bounds. We got around 20 seconds left. Lansing still down by 2. Ginga trying to hang on to this 2-goal lead. Feeling more and more confident that they'll come away with the victory here by the second. Here's a toe poke from Drew Barney. That one's a good one. Turned aside by Gabe Clark. Lansing City still on the attack. Look how engaged those Ginga players on the bench are. Here's another one from Kleppel. Left-footed strike getting deflected, and it's another corner.
It's nail-biter time. Everybody's staring at the clock, watching the play. They look just like the fans out there. You're doing that double take, back and forth, trying to see how much more time do we have to suffer through these Jeremy Kleppel shots.
According to our clock, only 1 more second, but what does the clock in-house say?
Not far
It
off,
says
I'd say.
zeros now, and Ginga is going to come away with victory number 2 on the year. A 4-2 victory over Lansing, surviving that barrage of shots by Lansing City. Goalkeepers doing well, and they did excellent, taking advantage of their opportunities and looking very dangerous. So Ginga takes that one 4-2. Jake, give me some thoughts from that game.
Very impressive effort from Ginga here. They're in the midst of their final game in 3 weeks, 3 games in as many weeks here. Not an easy task against 2 very tough teams out of that group as well, being Lansing City with their international experience within their squad, Detroit Imperial being the defending champs. And they've really impressed me in this first really big swing of the season. They'll take a short break before we see them again in December. But in the meantime, Lansing has a lot to think about after this game. I think a lot of what they did was really, really good. I'm sure they're wishing they could have a couple shots back in that final third. The post certainly should get an MVP consideration there in the goal amongst 2 great goalkeepers from Ginga as well. Could have really changed the game in a matter of inches. But again, the flock in Cincinnati with their fans and that travel and having to think about, your backup on the bench. A lot of things you got to work through when you come down to face this very, very physical and tough Ginga side so far this season.
And Jake, how cool is that to see? To see these Ginga players in great spirits with their fans going over, thanking their fans for being here in the fan interaction. How much do you love to see that in the FCS?
I adore it. This is so important to grassroots anything, for any kind of sports, and I think Ginga is really doing it right. The connection with the fans, coming back, shaking hands with the fans. When there was a futsal team in my community, that was a real big part of our culture. The players stayed on the court afterwards, signing autographs with the kids on mini balls, spending a lot of extra time before they even went to the locker room to clean themselves up. You put in a really tough 40 minutes of physical futsal like Ginga did, and then to come out and still be selfless and spend this time with the fans who really make this all happen. Super important. And that's what makes people, and more importantly, the kids, love this game, because they get to look up to these players and have someone to really admire while they're playing on the court themselves, like we're seeing now.
Great atmosphere there in Cincinnati, Ohio at the Flock. And before we comment a little bit more about the game, just want to mention about games that are coming up tonight in the FCS. We do have a doubleheader at 8 p.m. Midwest is going to host Grand Rapids Olay. That's the Battle of the West in Grand Rapids. And then also at 8 p.m., just getting word now that this next game between Midwest and Detroit Imperial is probably going to be delayed till about 8:30. So a couple of games that are coming up on the FCS Live Network very soon, right after this one. Midwest hosting Detroit Imperial, the battle for the east side of the state, and then Midwest United hosting Grand Rapids Olay. Jake, let's come back to the game just for a minute. We had just taking a look at some stats. I mean, how many times did we see the Ginga goalkeepers making phenomenal saves? Gabe Clark had 7 of his own. Corey Weisenhunt in the first half had 9. The goalkeepers on the Lansing side also with their fair saves. I mean, Kyron Gonzalez in that first half having 10 saves. Ethan Castaneda with 7 total saves. But a lot of shots on the Lansing City side. Let's see. I'm going to tally them up. Maybe you should say something while I tally these up. It's going to take a second.
Yeah, absolutely. I would tell the guys here that looking at what the goalkeepers had to do today, too, there was not very many simple shots straight to the keeper today. If you guys noticed that on the stream, or for the fans that are watching back on this in the arena that maybe want to catch some replays, everything was difficult. The shots that were on frame needed to be pushed hard. The goalkeepers getting down on the ground, having to really put themselves in uncomfortable situations on both sides of the ball. I could think of 2 instances where I think Conrad did or nearly got hit in the face. I'm sure he'll be asking the club for a dental plan after this. And then for Corey and for Gabe, I mean, there was a few times where they had to really get down, push that ball away, and help their team reset. Credit to the pivots and to the guys like Jeremy and like Nacho Torres that were creating, and Dimo Sherbina, who were creating those opportunities today and really keeping the keepers on their toes.
So after tallying these up, I kind of want to double check this because this seems, I mean, I thought it was going to be high, but this seems too high. I have 47 shots from Lansing City. Now, not all of those on goal. Some of those were missed by a little bit. Didn't count some, a lot of them that were way wide. But my tally is 47 shots with 2 goals for Lansing City and 11 shots with 4 goals for Ginga.
totally possible in futsal, which is crazy to say and think about when you say the number is 47. You know, in the World Cup, just this last fall, we saw a lot of high shot games, and even though maybe the score count didn't reflect that with double digits, you know, so much of that is the effort of the defense. Ginga doing a really great job with that today. Again, we mentioned the goalkeepers, those absolute psychopaths doing what they did today, and you know, they deserve a lot of credit for that. It doesn't feel like it looking at the score line, but this is a shooting gallery, no doubt. And if you're a goalkeeper and you're looking to develop, futsal is a sport for you because you're going to learn so much from it in a very quick way.
Yeah, so I did find out that somehow I added 10 shots. I thought that 47 was a little high. Only 37 for Lansing City. only 37 for Lansing City on the night. But great performances by the goalkeepers. And, you know, it really seemed like both teams kind of did what they wanted to do. Lansing City, they were almost every possession. They were in the attacking half. They were putting pressure on. They were putting shots on goal. And Ginga had their plan to defend it, and it went well. They only gave up 2 goals. And on the other side, you know, they were dangerous, not only in the counterattack, but they had some opportunities with the ball coming direct into the pivot. You know, they didn't build very much from their keeper, but they had balls coming direct into the pivot, and they made the most of those opportunities when Lansing City was faltering on defense, and, you know, they come out with the 4-2 win. So very interesting play. You know, I think a great first game for Lansing City, a great way to wrap up this 3-game stretch for Ginga, and a great game to lead into our doubleheader tonight. Jake, what are you excited for the next 2 games?
I am really excited, especially because I have to sit in your seat in the next game and commentate and do the hard part of the job, which is do the play-by-play for this Grand Rapids match. And there's such a storyline there about, you know, the familiarity across the court from each other, much like there is in the match you'll be covering against Detroit. So that's a running theme for tonight amongst these rivalries. That's kind of what makes it a rivalry, especially with how tight-knit futsal communities are. But you're talking about former NFPL champions, Grand Rapids Olay joining FCS, looking for that fresh challenge, and they're going to face a familiar foe in Midwest United, who's led by Coach Gio Garcia. Fun fact about Gio, he's the first ever Olay Futsal Club registrant when he was 4 years old. So these guys know a lot about each other. It's going to be an absolute meat grinder.
That's so exciting. Bummed that I will miss that one. On the other hand, I'm going to be a part of the crew that is going to be calling the Midwest and Detroit Imperial game here being played at the Lansing City Arena. Midwest playing their home games at the Lansing Arena for the time being. We're going to have to step aside to prepare for the upcoming games, but I do want to quick mention, I think we have a graphic for this, but I do want to quick mention that we also have FCS action coming up next week. There's 3 games slotted for 3 days, the Black Friday, the 29th, and then the 30th and the 1st. You can see here, Midwest, a part of all 3 of those matches. They're going to host Lansing City in the arena, even though it's a Midwest home game. They're going to host Lansing City in the arena, which is going to be very interesting on the 29th. That one is, and then we're going to have Midwest also playing Midwest United on the 30th, and then finding Detroit Imperial on the other side of the court on the 1st. So they got a big time of games coming up next weekend. But that's going to wrap it up for this game. Ginga takes it 4-2 on the FCS Network. I'm Jared Klepp along with Jake George. Hey, don't go anywhere. We got more FCS action coming up right after this. It's going to be Grand Rapids Olay versus Midwest United, and then a little bit after that, at the same time, it's going to be Midwest and Detroit Imperial. So don't go anywhere.